Ready?
Yeah.
Hello.
This feels real dicky.
Anyway, this is a wrap-up video looking at our whole trip, what we liked, what we didn't like, just some possibly interesting things along the way. A lot of people might not realise this because we didn't explain it, is that we planned and saved for this trip for years. I think it was before COVID we started planning, and then through all of COVID we skimped and saved. So
We skimped so much that we'd buy a kilo of mince and make it last 4 days.
or ground beef for anyone from America.
Yeah, and didn't go out. Like, we never went out. We didn't buy alcohol for that entire time.
Nope.
We just saved.
Yes.
It
I
was-
paid the essential bills, and yes.
And that was it. So
So,
yeah, 3 years of
That was
that.
good. In a weird way, COVID actually helped with that because we couldn't go out.
Yeah, so we
dinner.
didn't feel guilty for keeping our kids at home.
Yeah, the planning for this. So we went through 30 or 40 different versions of what this was going to be, and it grew from pretty much just going to California and the Grand Canyon to the trip that it ended up being, going all the way to New York. And yeah, we kind of intended to make these videos just to show us traveling with kids and show the challenges and and how we coped with the kids. I mean, they did pretty well throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, they did.
So we got a bunch of questions to ask ourselves, and
We wrote them. We didn't get them from you guys.
yeah. So first we're going to start with our personal trip highlights. And what was the main highlights for you?
It's so hard to actually come up with
To narrow it down.
to 3 highlight. The biggest thing for me was Magic Kingdom Castle, because I've wanted to go there since I was a little girl. So that was a big bucket list tick for me. So that's why it's a highlight. But then New York was just,
Yeah.
it wasn't what I expected. It was magnificent. I love New York.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was a highlight. And then I have to say the squirrels. The squirrels are so adorable. I don't know how you don't all make pets of them. They're
Pretty awesome.
If I had squirrels in my backyard, I would build little obstacle courses for them, little houses for them. We would just be squirrel people. I'd buy nuts for them.
Yeah.
Nuts.
She would. Yeah. We would have squirrels in this house right now if we could.
Yep. I will stop talking about squirrels. What were your highlights?
Definitely hiking the Grand Canyon. It was a bucket list item. That was just awesome. I don't expect I'll be going back to do it again. I would love to actually. Maybe we'll go back one day. Similar to Zara, just New York as a whole just has a special feeling to it, the whole city. And I guess the squirrels as well. You probably didn't see it through all the videos, but every time there was a squirrel, someone in the family would yell out, "Squirrel!" and we'd all freeze. And look for the squirrel.
And that would be the focus.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what amazing thing was in front of us. We would all divert to the squirrel.
It's like the Grand Canyon's over there. Nope, squirrel's over here. Let's pay attention to the squirrel. My last highlight will be just the road trip portion of the trip. And what it is was just the physical act of driving from point A to point B and seeing everything along the way was awesome. And I kind of missed that once we left Houston.
Yeah, I wish we had, even though there wasn't much to see, which is why we decided to do that and to cut the trip down so we weren't gone for too many days. I wish we had driven the whole way. I really enjoyed the road trip part. Like, you got to see real America, the amazing little towns, all the RV towns. They were cool. They were so cool. And
It's just something we don't ever see here.
No.
Just getting off the interstate. And okay, next question is, what were your top 3 attractions and why? Starting with Sarah.
Okay, so Monument Valley would be absolutely my favourite. It was just so beautiful and so big, and the Grand Canyon would be my second, very close second, because that was just, and with the snow, like it was just.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, and then the third one, and it's really hard to pick 3, would be the Empire State Building.
That's cool.
It was. So the elevator going up shows you the history of it building. It was really just amazing. And then when you got to the top, the the
view was
views.
amazing.
Yeah, and being there at sunset.
I think during the sunset was
awesome. Because you'd see it in the light and it's beautiful. Then you see it in that dusk stage and it was like different. And then at night it was different again. It was like you were seeing 3 different views, I guess, at different stages. So I really, really love that.
Yeah, I don't think the kids liked it as much as we did, but screw them.
Yeah. What were your 3?
The best one was a simple one, was the dinosaur tracks place. It was a random place between the Grand Canyon and Monument Valley, and I had no idea what to expect because I just saw it on Google Maps. I thought it was awesome.
It was.
I don't think there's anywhere else in the world that you can really do that. Well, not in the West, just the footprints.
Like walking where the dinosaurs went.
Yeah, putting your hands inside the footprint was...
Yeah, because we have nothing like that in New Zealand.
Yeah. The second is Monument Valley as well. Yeah. There was another bucket list item for me.
Yeah.
And just staying at the view, the cabins at the view were amazing. And lastly is a bit of a niche one. It's hard to decide, but I really liked Houston Museum of Natural History.
So that's a funny story. We actually didn't plan to go to the Houston Museum. And it's because I'm teaching the girls about world history and we just finished Egypt. And they had a big, what was his name? Pharaoh Khufu? I can't
remember which one it was.
And we had learnt about him, and we don't have anything like that in New Zealand. And so
they just had the advertisement up for this display as we were driving around Houston.
And there was a 4,000-year-old mummy. We saw so many mummies, and it was just amazing. But then the dinosaur exhibit.
Oh, that was amazing.
And even after going to Washington and New York, that still is the best.
By far. I have to assume it's probably the best in the world. It's just...
It was amazing.
On to the next question is, what was your favourite state? So we started in California, in LA. We drove up through Death Valley before popping into Nevada. Only had one night in Nevada and Las Vegas before continuing to Arizona and the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon up to Monument Valley in Utah. Snuck through that little corner of Utah before heading into Colorado. We didn't experience much Colorado before heading down through New Mexico and then lastly into Texas. So we also snuck into Oklahoma along the way. Then we flew to Florida, and then we flew up to Washington DC, and then we trained up to New York. I guess the full experience of a lot of states was limited, but I think the clear favourite for both of us was really easy.
Yeah.
Which is Texas.
Yeah. We love Texas.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Just the friendliness of the people, just the
different vibe to everywhere else.
Yeah, it was just such a chilled out,
down to earth.
Like homely vibe, family orientated state. Yeah, that's just what it came off first impressions.
And absolutely no doubt the state has its issues, like every other state will, or every other country. Yeah, but we really enjoyed our time there, and just felt
more home there.
Definitely. So on to the next question, which is the favourite and least favourite city. Start with least favourite?
Least favourite, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Hand down. There
were just some, red flags.
It just smelled like weed.
The
moment you walked out of the hotel, it didn't matter where you went, and there was no one around. And it made you feel sick, and the kids are breathing it in. And it was just everywhere.
And there was quite a number of places across the states, but there was just some other things, and maybe it was just where we were staying in Los Angeles, which is in Hollywood. There was the protest that you probably saw in the first video, and
that was our first night. We walked down.
They're all in balaclavas. I don't know if you saw this. There was a lot of them in balaclavas, fully dressed in black.
Quite aggressive looking.
Oh, very aggressive.
And they were getting more and more aggressive, so we got the kids out of there straight away because they were chanting, and then they ended up blocking off that whole square, and we could hear the sirens going down to dissipate it. But
and you could see people around them did not want them there.
No, people were kicking over.
A bit of a risk of kicking off into something else. Yeah,
because there were people kicking over their signs. We saw one guy just boot over the signs, and then they started chanting because it was an LGBTQ.
I don't know what it was. It was Black Lives Matter as well.
Yeah, it was like a mix of everything. Like it was a bit of a culture shock for me and the kids.
I guess more for me, I was concerned. That was our first day in America. I was just a little worried. We're going to have this in every city we go through. And fortunately, no, that was the only time we saw.
That was the only time.
any protest. Oh, there was something outside the White House, but there was no one actually there to...
Yeah, it was just some boards. Yeah.
Okay, so from there on to favourite city. What was your favourite?
It's easy. New York. I didn't think I'd like New York.
I think I'd just limit that to, because we only went to really the Manhattan part of New York.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Brooklyn. Midtown Manhattan was amazing. Similar problems. There was definitely homeless.
Yeah,
and there's
lots of
definitely a lot
homeless.
weed there.
Yeah, you could have the weed smell, and there was feces
Oh, that's right.
on the ground. But despite that, it didn't have the same feeling as LA.
The people were really nice there.
I was
We
expecting... Yeah.
Random conversations with a bunch of people, and everyone was nice.
Yeah.
Even on the subway, some random conversations. With
People would get up and give their seats to us.
Yeah.
Just everybody was just really kind. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just had a different vibe. And I mean, it was really, really compacted, heaps of people, really busy, but it's just like the vibe is just really cool. Like, it's a really cool vibe in New York. Manhattan. How do you say? Manhattan. I want to say Mad Hatter. I don't know. Manhattan. My language is so bad.
Next question is, what was the favourite hotel and why?
So this is really hard because we stayed in 15 different hotels. And
I think it's really easy, but okay.
Oh, what was your favourite then?
Even though it wasn't the favourite city, it was the Magic Castle Hotel in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But it was reasonably priced.
It wasn't the most expensive. Well, that was
we definitely could have spent more in LA. We
Yeah.
definitely could have got cheaper as well.
Yeah.
But,
I'm so glad we
for
went
what it was,
there.
I'm really glad we went there. The best all round.
Yeah. What made the Magic Castle is all the food that they gave us for free. The coffee was amazing.
It was.
And the access to it. The free ice creams the kids could get and the soda as much as they wanted, whenever they wanted. But also the community around the pool. We got the kids got to make friends with other families. We actually ended up talking. I talked to so many people in the pool. It just had that family community feel.
I don't think we really got the experience to have that in any of the other hotels that we went to.
No, it was very individual. It was very... And there was... none of the other hotels had the service
not even
like
close.
the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the girls... That hotline, the girls would just like ring up and a guy dressed up as a butler would come out with ice blocks. And it's all free.
What do we miss about America? And what don't we miss about America?
I miss the squirrels.
Yeah, I knew she was going to say that.
What do you miss? You know it's a squirrel.
I think it's squirrels, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what don't you miss?
The weed smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weed smell. It was sickly.
It's just like squirrels, they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
It's inescapable.
Except for Texas. Texas didn't have any weed smell.
Yeah. What were your favourite foods in America?
When we went to the cheesecake factory in Washington, DC, I ordered these, and I didn't know what I was going to get, but they were the egg rolls, but they were avocado egg rolls, and they were cut. They were the most amazing thing ever I've ever eaten in my entire life. I can taste them now, and I wish I knew how to cook them because they were so good. And I gave Matthew one, and he wanted more, and I was like, no. And then it would be pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza. The
Pizza in New Zealand is horrible. I'd agree, yep. Pizza's for me as well. It can't really go wrong in America. It's always way better than New Zealand.
Yeah, 100%.
New York bagels were incredible.
They were so good.
I think we figured out the better ones to get. The first day, I can't remember what we got, but it wasn't the best.
It was like rainbow ones. Yeah. The girls
but again, the slightly flavoured cream cheeses, and it was really good. Also in New York was just I really like the New York style diners.
Yeah.
The food was always really good in them. It was you couldn't really go wrong. Okay, and what was your least favourite food?
The coffee.
We did have some good coffees throughout America, but
not many.
Generally speaking,
even Starbucks coffee.
They had these little ones with the capsules. They're just consistently bad.
But I do think it's because in New Zealand we have such good coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even our home instant coffee is good. So yeah.
And it's just a different coffee culture in New Zealand. There's lots of little cafes. Starbucks isn't really a thing. Do we still have Starbucks in New Zealand?
I think there is, but it's very...
You never see them.
Yeah, it's not a place I'd go to.
I think because we're all so small and independent, there's a lot more competition to be good.
Yeah. You can go to McDonald's and get a good coffee in New Zealand.
Exactly, yeah.
What was your least? Is yours the same?
I think coffee was good.
The worst coffee I had was at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was going to be bad. which is why I had the camera up and I was thinking, oh, I'll just do a little bit of filming. And yeah, that reaction was just priceless because it was like gross. It was so gross.
Next question is, what was the weirdest thing you saw? Which there were a few things.
I think the weirdest thing I saw, which I found really bizarre, was when we were at Disney World. It was mainly at Disney World, but it was at other places as well, is the amount of people who are able-bodied to walk but chose not to and use the scooter runs. Even to go into the lines at Disney, they're using these scooters. And there were heaps of them. But the weirdest one I saw was the golf cart guy. We were walking to the bus early one morning and there was a guy walking his dog, but he was sitting in the golf cart, driving it, walking his dog. It's just like, how much more lazier can you get?
Sure, we don't see that in New Zealand.
No, everyone walks.
And I guess you're right, in Disney World, those mobility scooters were everywhere. For me, it was the Instagrammers.
Oh, yeah.
I think you saw it in a couple of the videos. One was, it was a girl in Hollywood Boulevard doing something
weird. TikTok dance.
Yeah, it was a weird dance too. And then there was again at Jefferson Memorial. And that was a more professional effort. There was a lady in a dress and she had a whole crew there. Yeah, taking photos.
There was 3 of them, and then we saw them again at Brooklyn Bridge.
There was heaps on Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah,
but they're kind of everywhere, and it's just weird.
And there was another one at a carousel, and she had the camera set up, and she would do this reaction, and then she did that same reaction 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, we're so crap. We set the camera up, stood in front of it, go cheese. Yeah, one shot. Gone.
Yeah, and as you can tell, most of the time the kids aren't even looking, let alone have their eyes open.
Or our eyes are closed.
How do you find homesickness and yourself and the kids?
See, I was fine. The only thing I missed was just the luxuries you have at home of that routine of clean, like, washing and stuff. But I didn't miss home at all. I loved it. Actually, this is my first big trip and I want to do it. I want it to be my life now. I want to do it all the time. I would sell this house and live on the road and I'd be really happy. But our kids would not. They have made it very clear they're not travelling anymore.
I think they did well, but they were homesick along the way as well.
Ellie was the worst, but I think it's because she's 6. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not sure if she said she wanted to go home and she just meant she wanted to go back to the hotel. I think is what she meant.
Yeah.
But they definitely missed. We have cats. They missed the cats.
And we did have like Sonic. You would have seen at the beginning and at the end. He's actually passed away. He was 17.
He was very old.
And we were worried he was going to pass away. We knew he was coming to the end of his days, and he literally passed away a week after we got back. But he must have held on for us, I think.
I think so.
They were worried about him, I think. It was just in their mind. But it would have been, if he was already gone, it would have been Snowflake, our other cat, our white one. Yeah. It was just the comfort.
I think it was just something from home that they were used to that they missed.
Yeah. But they loved it.
But they had so many things. Every day
was
filled with things to distract them.
Yeah. What did you miss? Did you get homesick?
No. I would have stayed for another month if I could have.
Yeah, if we could afford it.
we
would have done a 3-month.
Challenges did we have along the way while travelling?
So the washing was a big issue for...
you just can't wash in certain motels or hotels.
So we tried, when we went through the planning of it, we had this big book. So we knew what hotels had motels that we could use and what hotels didn't have washing, laundry, and so we kind of planned it, but it was very hard. I think there were times where I would hand wash things in the bathroom for 5 people, which is a lot, and then I'd have socks hanging over lamps and just everywhere there was a little bar I could hang something. It was just covered everywhere to get that washing done.
I think a couple of places were misleading as well. They'd say they'd have washing facilities, but they would charge you by item.
Yeah, and it was like $10 for a pair of undies.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's why I loved Castle.
The Magic Castle.
Yeah, because they will do the laundry for you for free.
Yeah.
Or you can go do it down yourself, and they have this whole laundry facility, which is great. And there was this one place in Death Valley. They had a washing machine, but I couldn't for the life of me work out how to use it. It was like a spaceship. I tried to work it out, and I'm just like, Who invented this? Just have an on button. Come on. That was weird. I couldn't even
Unfortunately,
open the
that
door.
one didn't matter because we were going to...
We had already done our washing. So.
Yeah, we're going to Las Vegas the next day, which also had washing.
Yeah, they had washing there. They just had really small washing machines. So I was up until I think it was 2 a.m. washing and drying all the clothes.
Yeah,
we
that's
had
right.
reefs by then.
Yeah, Sarah did really well,
Yeah.
actually, with all the washing because it was one of her job.
Yeah, so my job on the trip, we both had roles. So my job was to make sure that the bags were packed and that the washing was, like, you know, we would do the washing. That was my role. Matthew
for
was...
the next day. I was the logistics and driving and planning.
Yeah, as well as sorting out where we would have the meals. Like, he was in charge of food and where we were going and the logistics of everything and the times and stuff.
You also had another big responsibility, filming everything.
Oh, yeah, I did have to do that and making sure I put all the footage. Yeah.
If that was up to me, you would have had 1 5-minute video with all the footage of the whole trip. Yeah. And that would have been it.
Yeah.
But I think if we hadn't have gotten that wagon, it would have been...
Very different.
Much more challenging road trip.
Yeah.
And you saw when we turned the camera around, you'd see the space that the girls had, so they weren't in each other's face the whole time. Something else that would have been potentially a challenge, and I actually think this is a bit of a highlight as well, was that in certain places there was a risk of the kids getting very bored along the way, particularly going through the national parks and that kind of stuff. But the junior ranger programs were awesome. And I think they got the kids involved enough that they didn't get bored, didn't complain. They had something to look at and think about and concentrate on. And especially Annabelle, she loved looking for animal tracks wherever we went. And that was because of the junior ranger programs.
And she's now got a passion for dinosaurs.
And paleontology.
Yeah, she wants to get into that, which we live in the wrong country for that.
We do.
But yeah, it gave us a deeper understanding of America too, and American history, and the girls learned a lot more than they would if we just hadn't have, because we planned the trip around that, didn't we? Yep. And apparently there's 400 badges. So if you're wondering, we got 18 badges in total, which was quite a lot.
18 for each child.
So if you're wondering what I did with it, I actually created I put them into little individual frames for them, and so they're hanging up on their wall, and they got
they look really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's just a nice way to, they'll always remember it. And I just printed out some of their photos. Each frame has different photos. The one thing that came out from the trip for me, which I don't know, it's not a question, is that their bond of the girls really, really close. Like, you'll see moments of Ayla piggybacking Alison, and moments of Annabelle kind of nurturing Alison, like the big sisters really looked after the little ones, or you'll see Ayla and Annabelle kind of nurturing each other, and then
or they were just in the back of the car complimenting each other, or
really building each other up. They didn't fight very often.
I guess we're off to next. We have started saving for our next trip, and we actually have some options.
Matt's the planner of the trips, so he is planning 3 different types of trips.
So at the moment there's 3 rough options. Option 1 is going up to Egypt and probably around Rome. Maybe add some extra things in and around Israel and Lebanon in there. Option 2 is in South America, mainly focused from Peru, Chile, and all the way down the bottom in Patagonia. And option 4 is going back to the States, probably starting around Las Vegas, going to the north side of the Grand Canyon, walking it, making our way up around Yellowstone up to Seattle or Vancouver, and then going up into Alaska from there. They're only rough ideas. I mean, it took us years to plan this one out, to get it precisely the way we wanted.
Let us know in the comments if you want to, which trip you think we should take.
Any final thoughts or
words
of wisdom from you, Sarah?
Words of wisdom.
No is the quick answer.
No. It was a lot easier than I thought it was with all the planning and prep. So plan. Have a job each. Don't put all the role on one person. Like, split it between like what your strengths are. So planning, prep, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and plan around that. What are your words of wisdom?
Okay, if you want to do the same, especially if you're in America, it's right there. You guys can do it. I'm very jealous.
Same.
Start with where you want to go on a map and take it from there.
Well,
It all boils down to how much money you have.
yeah, it does. And what you're willing to sacrifice to
get
save. We will upload, I'll create it as a Google Doc so you guys can download it, the entire plan that Matthew created, the itinerary schedule. So you guys can edit it, use it. It's free. It's there for you if you want it, to help you on it. And then you can kind of upgrade.
Yeah, it worked for us for the most part. There's some tweaks that we made along the day just with how we're feeling, but we stuck to the plan pretty well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming with us on our journey.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on our next trip.
See you.